This is our profile of Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, presented by Jillian, Theo, Guillermo, and Nico.
You could call him a real-life boogeyman, not as well known as, say, Ted Bundy or Charles Manson, yet still one of the most vicious serial killers in American history.
Today, the search for California's Night Stalker continues.
I'm afraid for everybody, elderly, young, everybody.
In the mid-80s, the Night Stalker was more than a man. He was a collective nightmare, and when the police finally caught him, people wanted to know everything. He was an avowed Satanist whose crimes didn't just terrify communities, they made him this object of intrigue. So who was Richard Ramirez?
Richard Ramirez was born as Ricardo Llevada Muñoz Ramirez on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. He was the fifth child of Mexican immigrants. Ramirez was an American serial killer who killed at least 14 people. He also raped and tortured at least 24 more. At a young age, Ramirez sustained multiple head injuries, became a heavy drug user, and became infatuated with the religion of Satanism.
Ramirez had charges of torturing 25 victims and killing more than a dozen people. Most of these crimes were committed in the victims' California houses. Ramirez's first crime was the murder of his cousin's wife. Although he didn't actually kill her, he witnessed the crime without doing anything to stop it. Ramirez was also sent to juvenile detention for multiple charges of petty theft and possession of marijuana. Later, he moved to California, where he expanded to cocaine and car theft charges, which resulted in his first jail sentence. Then, his first murder was a 79-year-old victim he sexually assaulted, stabbed, and murdered in her own home.
Ramirez had 4 other siblings, which were all born with birth defects due to their mother being exposed to chemical fumes at work. He had started experiencing epileptic fits early on caused by head injuries, a dresser that fell on his head when he was 2, and a swing when he was 5, which completely knocked him out. Richard's father was also extremely abusive towards him and his other siblings.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the idea that humans have created certain needs that must be fulfilled for healthy living. These needs motivate us to act the way we do, particularly in ways that satisfy the needs that are not yet fulfilled. Ramirez never felt a sense of love and belonging at home due to his abusive and chaotic upbringing. Ramirez would kill to fulfill that need he never felt growing up. OCD is an anxiety disorder where individuals are unable to stop thinking the same thoughts or performing the same task over and over again. Ramirez was a very sporadic and chaotic killer. He had no pattern, specific triggers, or even a specific way he was to carry out a murder, but the killings still were his compulsions that he needed to relieve, so therefore he did in some way have OCD.
Are we greeting each other this way now? Because I like that.
I cleaned! I did the windows, I did the floors. I even used all those attachments on the vacuum, except for that little round one with the bristles. I don't know what that's for.
Oh, yeah, nobody knows, and we're not supposed to ask.
Oh, what do you think?
Very clean.
It's great, really, it looks
Very
great.
clean.
Oh, I see you moved the green ottoman. How did that happen? I don't know. I thought it looked better there. And also it's an extra seater on the coffee table. Yeah, it's interesting. But you know what? Just for fun, let's see what it looked like in the old spot. Just to compare. Let's see. Ha! Well, it looks good there, too. Let's just leave it there for a while.
Can't believe you tried to move the green ottoman.
Thank God you didn't try to fan out the magazines. I mean, she'll scratch your eyes right out.
Guys, I am not that bad.
Yeah, you are, Monica. Remember I lived with you? You were like a little,
That is so unfair.
Oh, come on. When we were kids, yours was the only Raggedy Ann doll that wasn't raggedy.
Okay, so I'm responsible, I'm organized, but hey, I can be a kook.
All right, you madcap gal. Try to imagine this. The phone bill arrives, but you don't pay it right away.
Why not?
Because you're a kook. Instead, you wait until they send you a notice.
I could do that.
Okay. Then you let me go grocery shopping, and I buy laundry detergent, but it's not the one with the easy pour spout.
Why would someone do that? One might wonder.
Someone's left a glass on the coffee table. There's no coaster. It's a cold drink. It's a hot day. Little beads of condensation are inching their way closer and closer to the surface of the wood.
Stop it! Oh my God.
PTSD is unique among mental health diagnoses in that it has a specific identifiable cause. Traumatic experiences in which a person feels that his or her life or safety is in danger may lead to PTSD symptoms. Ramirez had a very traumatic childhood, including lots of physical and mental abuse, but there's no evidence that led to him having PTSD. Generalized anxiety disorder is a type of disorder in which a person feels tense and apprehensive on a very regular basis. Sometimes it might feel like they feel this way all the time. While Ramirez seems like a very relaxed guy on camera, when he was heavy into cocaine, he could have developed anxiety due to the fact that cocaine is usually linked to developing anxiety. Agoraphobia is the fear of places and situations that might cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment. Ramirez did not show any signs of agoraphobia because he was always out doing something. If he did have it, he would have done everything in his power to not leave his home.
I am off to the store. Does anyone need anything?
The store? I thought you know. Yeah, Christ, in a basket.
I have a feeling that today's gonna be the day, Mom.
I think so too, sweetie. I think so too.
Aww.
All right, well, get me a case of old-style tall boys, will you?
Okay. Okay, so I'm off. Just one foot in front of the other. And I will open the door. Open the door. And I take a step out.
I've got you, Mom. I'm right here.
Major depressive disorder is a psychiatric episode marked by extreme depressive symptoms. A major depressive episode has many symptoms of major depressive disorder, but is different due to the non-chronic nature and cause of the episode. Ramirez did not show signs of depression since he was on a killing spree for a whole year with no major cooling off periods. In order for Ramirez to have had major depression, he would have basically not been able to do anything for 2 weeks, which is not shown in the evidence. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder in which the person's mood swings from euphoric, manic stages to depression. This is not simply being happy and then sad, but rather periods of uncontrollable clinical mania and longer periods of depression. Ramirez did not have bipolar disorder because, once again, he never seemed to have a cooling off period or even a heightened feeling of mania, which could have been shown in his killings if there was a point in time where he had killed an excessive amount of people in one day, which could have been a result of the mania.
What time did you get up?
About 5.
You didn't get back from work until 3.
Yeah, I went for a run this morning. I have a ton of energy. Oh, check out this sunrise. Look at that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's real. Yo, it's after 5. You trying to set some sort of record? You're not still sleeping. Get up.
Leave me alone.
Ian, are you high? You take something?
Go away.
Okay, you want me to call the club at least and
Jesus,
tell them?
leave me alone!
People with schizophrenia may have trouble organizing their thoughts or making logical connections. They may feel as if their mind is racing to one unrelated thought to another. They also deal with psychosis, which is when a person has an altered or abnormal state of reality. Schizophrenia can cause hallucinations and delusions as well. People may seem as if they've lost touch with reality. Schizophrenia is associated with changes in the structure and functioning of important brain structures, like the prefrontal and medial temporal lobe, that have to do with working memory and declarative memory. It's also associated with the changes in the cortex. Viral childhood infections are associated with an increased risk of adult schizophrenia. Schizophrenia tends to run in families, although there is no so-called schizophrenia gene. A different combination of genes make people more capable of getting this disorder. Deletions or duplications of genes can also increase the risk of schizophrenia. Richard Ramirez did not seem to have schizophrenia.
What are you doing, baby? You gotta get to the ferry.
No.
If the world thinks that Chuck is dead, then he's perfect for their experiments.
There's only one place they'd take him.
You go there and you'll die.
He's my partner. If they are hurting him, if they're holding him against his will, I've got to bring him out. I can't lose anyone else.
Go, Teddy, please. Please don't do this. Don't go.
I'm sorry, honey. I love this thing because you gave it to me. The truth is,
conversion disorders is a mental condition in which a person can have multiple different nervous system failures like blindness and paralysis that cannot be explained by medical evaluation. Ramirez did not have conversion disorder because he did not show any type of nervous system failures that could hint conversion disorder.
Illness and anxiety disorder is when a person is constantly fearful of their health and well-being despite having little to no symptoms. Richard Ramirez did not have illness and anxiety disorder. He, in fact, seemed to have the opposite of that. His psychological evaluation shows that he craved excitement and dangerous activities. Low levels of serotonin can lead to this. The amygdala, which deals with the fight-or-flight response, has direct ties to illness and anxiety disorder.
Dissociative identity disorder is a mental health condition where people experience having a separate identity that has a personality of its own, controlling the person to do things according to what the identity tells the person to do. Ramirez did not claim to have different identities or having different personalities control him, so he did not have this dissociative identity disorder.
Tyler spoke for me.
Fell down some stairs.
Fell down some stairs.
You alone. This conversation
is over. Tyler's words coming out of my mouth. And I used to be such a nice guy. You wake up at a different time, in a different place. Could you wake up as a different person?
Anorexia nervosa is characterized by a distorted body image with an unwanted fear of being overweight. Richard Ramirez had no connection to this sort of mental illness.
Bulimia nervosa is an eating disorder where people binge eat, then force themselves to vomit, fasting, or go through excessive exercise. This is performed by feelings of guilt or shame. Ramirez did not show any patterns of binge eating, so he did not have bulimia nervosa.
Binge eating disorder is a serious disorder in which you frequently consume unusually large amounts of food and feel unable to stop eating. Richard Ramirez did not have this. He has a high self-esteem and was very pleased with the way he looked.
Antisocial personality disorder are people who tend to lie, break laws, act impulsively, and lack a regard for their safety or the safety of others. Ramirez was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder as his whole life. He has always broken the law and acted impulsively.
Nature versus nurture. Richard Ramirez was formed mainly by nature. His upbringing and life experiences as a child into his adolescence arguably shaped many of his mental illnesses, only because of the predisposed genetic and brain abnormalities found in him.
The serial killer is conventionally defined as a person who murders 3 or more people in a period of over a month with a cooling down time between murders. For a serial killer, the murders must be separate events which are most often driven by a psychological thrill or pleasure. There are 16 known victims he killed within only 1 year, which makes him fit the pattern of a serial killer. The next clip will be an interview with Richard Ramirez while on death row.
The horror began in June 1984. Los Angeles was under siege. Death waited in the dark at the hands of a man they called the Night Stalker. After a 14-month reign of terror, he was finally caught. It was only then that his true identity was discovered. His name, Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez's whole trip was to hide in a tree or hide behind a fence and watch his victims at nighttime and wait into the wee hours of the night. And then, while they slept, creep in, like a coward, and kill them.
The Night Stalker killed at least 13 times, 13 people who were awakened in the night to face death. At least 15 others survived his brutal attacks.
I didn't particularly care for people.
In a rare interview, Ramirez refused to discuss his own crimes, but had this to say about serial killers.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and like a recipe: poverty, drugs, child abuse. These things, contribute to a person, to a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes.
Perhaps for Richard Ramirez, that anger and frustration turned to rage, which he in turn took out on his victims. His killings were so sadistic and brutal that even experienced detectives were shocked.
He took a woman in her 60s and stomped her to death with his foot, leaving an imprint of a shoe on the side of her face. From that to just executing somebody upon walking into a room after he entered a house. He strangled, he used a ligature, he used a tire iron on a young girl, beat her, left her for dead.
Would your anger subside if you had to wipe up your mother's blood? I couldn't finish it. I had to leave my brother to finish that chore.
Why on earth would you have hurt those people? Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time.
What was Richard's motive?
To kill.
That's it?
To kill. It's as simple as that.
Richard Ramirez was raised in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5 children born to hardworking, strict parents. Eddie Milam was Richard's best friend back then and remembers when he began to change into a troublemaker.
I did start seeing something going wrong with Ricky Ramirez. I think what really messed him up was the acid. He would do a lot of acid. The stealing, I noticed the stealing and then started as a peeping Tom and things like that.
Ramirez's passion for burglary earned him the nicknames of Ricky the Thief and Fingers. But Eddie knew Ramirez had other serious problems when he was fired from a local hotel.
He said he was fired, he was dismissed due to the cause that he had tried to molest 2 little kids that were going up the elevator.
By 18, Ramirez was a high school dropout, drifting around California. He stayed in Skid Row hotels, never seemed to work, but always had the money to buy cocaine. Friends say the Richard Ramirez they knew didn't date and wasn't the type to commit such heinous crimes. But convicted murderer Martin Kipp, who befriended Ramirez in prison, says he heard another side of the Night Stalker.
Richard told me he needed to associate gruesome violence with sex in order to be completely satisfied. He also told me that he had to violently fantasize about his victims before he could go away sexually gratified.
They are desires, whereas if I didn't give in to them, I would be crushed by them. I believe in the evil in human nature. This is a wicked world, and in a wicked world, wicked people are born. I'm not going to blame society, my race, or people, or anything. It is up to the individual like myself to keep on knocking on whatever door they want to get into.
Because the victims and the methods of killing were so diverse, many experts felt there was no one Night Stalker. Detectives Carrillo and Salerno disagreed and finally broke the case by matching shoe prints. The subsequent trial turned into one of America's most notorious courtroom dramas, punctuated by continual outbursts from Ramirez. In that trial, Ramirez's fascination with Satanism emerged.
As far as Satan is concerned, I believe in a malevolent being. His description eludes me, but I have felt powers that are evil.
After an 8-month trial, Ramirez was convicted of all 13 murders and given multiple death sentences.
I don't care about myself, really. I don't care about what happens to me. I never did, really.
While on death row at San Quentin State Prison, Ramirez was diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma. He died in 2013 at the age of 53. He is now buried in the Riverside National Cemetery.